Hello! Today we're going to be taking a look at Defiance. Now, Defiance is an recently released MMO that's had a lot of hype because it is a bit unique in the sense that the SyFy channel, that being the very interesting American network full of strange shows, has partnered with Trion, which are the developers of a well-known MMO called Rift. That's actually still doing fairly well to this day. Now, Trion Worlds are... they're not a poor studio. They can pour a lot of money into something, and clearly they've done that. If you haven't seen any marketing for this game, I'd be really surprised. Now, SyFy has a show now that is called Defiance, and it is partnered with Trion and a couple other things, including Dodge, which you'll see why in a minute. But so the whole gimmick of this is that the MMO changes what takes place in the television show. Now, the MMO actually has the characters from the TV show, and we'll probably see them in this playthrough. I'll try to make sure of that. Now, that is the wrong button. As you can clearly see, it is very much a third-person shooter MMO. It is not an MMORPG in the traditional sense, even though there is a lot of RPG elements. It's actually kind of like a mix between Borderlands and Global Agenda. If no one has ever played Global Agenda, I don't blame you because no one knows what the heck it is, but it's not bad. And also a game that I never hear people talk about because it was really unsuccessful, but this game is extremely similar, was a failed MMO called Tabula Rasa, and I actually played that for a little while and it wasn't bad. So this is a third-person MMO in the traditional sense of Gears of War, I suppose, third-person kind of action, and it's a bit weird because a lot of us are used to MMORPGs only, like say WoW or Final Fantasy XI or any of the other ones, Rift, but that's not the case now. Because we're starting to see other, now that the technology is available, we're starting to see other types of MMOs, like say PlanetSide 2, which is a first-person shooter and is very good. And now we've got this. So, in the history of MMOs, the third-person shooter has not been very successful. What you talking about? They haven't been very successful because the technology hasn't been good enough to actually do a third-person game and not make it feel super janky.
It seems to only be infecting humans. It's weird.
Yes, but now I think they've done a fair job, so let's just go ahead and get into this. That happens all the time, we'll just ignore that. So, one thing you might notice is there are vehicles, and the first, like, half an hour playing this game, you get your own vehicle, so they basically take the place of mounts in traditional MMOs. As you can see, I have a Dodge Challenger. Yes, like I said, Dodge seems to sponsor this. It's a little bit weird, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, the driving mechanics are very much like a traditional third-person action game. Not quite like Borderlands, because you don't use your mouse to steer, but overall, this game is very similar to Borderlands. Now what you're seeing here is a dynamic event. These will pop up out of nowhere, and you can just go crazy. Yeah. So as you can see, I can just run over these bugs. It's, again, if you're expecting an MMORPG, this isn't the kind of stuff you can do in one of those. But, oh god, but this is clearly not one of those. This is different. Oh god. And the mechanics are actually fairly sound for a third-person game. So I can just run these dudes over if I want to, and blow up my car.
Careful, we got a lot more hellbugs on their way.
So this is a very Guild Wars 2 style of doing things, and that is pop up in the world, and just events can happen around you where you aren't accepting a quest or anything like that. It just happens. Ow. And me doing this alone is probably fairly stupid, but I'm gonna try it anyway. The more of these you do, you get experience rewards, you get money, that's called scrip in this game, I believe, which is a strange name. And you also get this, that stuff right there, that green currency, which is called salvage, and we'll talk about that later, because that's a fairly unique mechanic as well. So, again, it feels like a third-person shooter. It does not feel like an MMORPG. the combat is exactly the same as you would expect for a normal third-person shooter. And that was surprising to me because I expected it to feel really janky, really unresponsive and slow, but it really doesn't. Lag is not a problem anymore for me, but that's kind of a personal thing. Oh god, and we've got some loot over here. We'll talk about the loot system in a minute as well, because as you can see, it's color-based. So we'll talk about that again soon, but for right now, I'm going to blow the crap out of these hellbugs. So this is actually Earth. It may not look like it, but it's Earth. And the lore of this game is that Earth was terraformed for an alien race. And that now there are mutants and these weird things called hellbugs that for some reason want to eat your head, and a bunch of other things. Essentially, it is a sci-fi show. It's on the SyFy channel. They're actually calling it their Battlestar Galactica, which I wouldn't agree with, because Battlestar Galactica was a pretty good series, and Defiance is good, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be that good. But it's actually doing alright, and that is a relief for people because they were afraid that if the series didn't do well enough, that the game would suffer. Because it's so closely linked in with the series, they were afraid that if the series flopped, then the game would stop being supported. Now, I don't see that as the case, because as much as the events of the series affect the game, they are separate entities, and I feel like if for some reason the series just stopped airing, the game would keep going. Because Trion, the developers, they're pro MMO developers. Yeah, I didn't really play Rift because it was very similar to World of Warcraft, which I don't really like. What are you doing? But there you go, have a rocket. But the main fact is, whether you liked Rift or not, they clearly know what they're doing. They know how to develop an MMO that's mechanically sound, and honestly, it's impressive to see them develop something other than an RPG that's actually a sound third-person shooter. So let's talk about that green currency now. You can find these lockboxes. Now, in a lot of MMOs, when you see a lockbox, you think real money, because in most MMOs with lockboxes, you have to spend real money to buy a key. But in this case, you can get these key codes for 1,000 salvage each, which isn't too much. I have 6 key codes now, and you can buy these lockboxes. You can buy them with real money, which is this yellow currency here, or lockboxes or key codes and script. Now, these are basically like gambling. They are random loot boxes that just have different rarities of loot. It's almost like opening a trading card package. It's basically the exact same thing. So that's actually kind of cool because it allows you to just get random loot whenever you want. As you can see, the tier 2 has at least 2 items, tier 3 has 3 items, tier 4 has 4 items. So you're more likely to get really good stuff. And that's just how those work. And there are also these vehicle terminals. You can buy all kinds of different sorts of vehicles of different colors, and they all have actual stats. Like, that's different because a lot of times mounts only really have a movement speed stat, and that's it. But in this case, since it's a third-person shooter, the vehicles are actually physical things with their own mechanics in the game, so they have their own sets of stats. As much as I want a pink buggy, I don't have enough money to buy it, so I'm not going to be a super baller today. Now the loot system, that is interesting. The loot system as well as the weapons are very much Borderlands. Now, I've got to say I really don't like this inventory screen. It very much is designed for a console in mind, which is fine, but I'm playing with a mouse and keyboard, so it's a little annoying to navigate sometimes, especially when it gets full. Obviously it's meant for a controller, but a mouse still works. I want them to upgrade it a bit. It seems like it could be a bit better, to be honest. But hey, it's a minor complaint, and they have been listening to the community. Now, the reason I waited so long to do this was because the game was very buggy on launch. So buggy, in fact, that I could barely play it. It had disconnection problems, meaning it was very easy to just get kicked off completely, and you would no longer be able to play. What is a mass cannon? It sounds awesome. I want it. I'm equipping the crap out of that. Now, they've released 2 big, huge, several gigabyte in size patches. That's cool. Obviously, they're listening to people because Trion is known for that. Trion is known for caring about what their fans have to say. Even with Rift, they were clearly listening to their feedback, and they fared well, because honestly, the what's it called, Storm Legion, I believe, the expansion for Rift, it's been considered one of the best expansions for an MMO. I've never played it, but that's just what I've heard. Ooh. Now, as you saw, the loot system is color-based, and it's very Borderlands-ish. The weapons are randomized, they have color rarities. It's an ARPG loot system just like Borderlands has. So this is Tabula Rasa or Global Agenda meets Borderlands meets SyFy nonsense. And it does it pretty well. So we're going to go do a quest now so I can show you what the questing is like. There are various characters you'll meet. That is a pink buggy, oh my god. Oh, give it, oh god. Okay. That guy is a pimp. And you'll see, oh god, you'll see lots of, lots of teamwork and complete nonsense, because that's just what you can do. I'm gonna summon my car from the depths of Hades and drive around. Yes, you can drive through each other. They did that on purpose because they thought in some of the more cramped areas that being able to collide with your party members' cars would be really annoying, so they just made it to where you can drive through each other. So it looks kind of funny, but they did it for a good reason, and I feel that's a good idea, because some of the areas do get very cramped, and honestly, if you had to like straight file yourselves through the areas and couldn't just move through each other like that, I want that buggy so bad. I need to save up 15 grand. Okay, enough nonsense now. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that happens in Defiance. Obviously, it is an extremely serious game, so I'm gonna sell some of the stuff I don't need. Yes. Now, the world is interesting, and I've gotta say, I don't tend to pay a large amount of attention to stories in MMOs. Even though I love story-based games, and that is because MMO stories are usually crap, to be honest, and they're usually just like, you are the chosen one, just like all of these 9,000 other people playing with you, go be chosen somewhere, and fetch me 90 bear asses. But this time it's a bit different. A bit. You are an Arc Hunter, which is why you have all these crazy powers, like I can turn invisible, because you have nanotech inside of you. That is explained in the show as well. The Arc technology is this crazy alien stuff that has to do with why this planet does not look like Earth anymore, and stuff like that. So here's a character that we've recently discovered in the story. He is kind of like a sheriff, so I'm going to shut up, and, ooh, I think I get his costume. I want that crap. Alright.
Glad you could make it. I don't know what these raiders are doing here, but listen to what I tell you, because I don't say it lightly. There are civilians in there. Some of them are my employees, some of them my friends. Kids, even. But their lives are secondary to securing that Arc core. Even your bosses. You understand? No matter what, we can't let the core leave that compound. No time to ride the line, so let's go!
So there you go. That is a familiar voice actor if you've played a lot of games. I can't remember his name. Is that Troy Baker or Yuri Lowenthal, maybe? I can't... What? God. Alright, so we've just started this quest, and now we are raiding this ranch. And as you can see, some random players and stuff can just join in if they're also on the quest, which is very cool. Again, it's very Guild Wars 2-esque, in that the world is very open, and the questing, the way it works, means that you can have a rocket. You can very easily just join in with each other. And that's cool. And I do like those dynamic events that just pop up out of nowhere. It helps. It helps keep the game interesting. Alright, so if I reload in midair, it explodes. Boom! Okay. Or is that... Oh, crap. He's like an anime voice actor as well. Anyway, yeah, that's not super important right now. So let's talk about the voice acting really quick. The voice acting is a bit of a mixed bag in this, I've got to say. They have some people that are very, very well known, like the sheriff there, and very good at what they do. Okay. Whew. And they have some others that kind of sound like they've never voice acted in their entire life. And honestly, in an MMO, I don't think you're expecting superior voice acting, but in an MMO that's based around a SyFy series, I'm thinking, oh lord, I'm thinking that you might be... Okay, wow, what happened there? Yeah, that was unfortunate. I'm thinking that you might expect a bit more from it, and I think that's a fair expectation because, I mean, they can get the voice actors from the show. I would imagine that professional actors would also be fairly good at voice acting because it's similar. It's probably a bit harder because you can't see yourself, you know, you aren't your character, you're a digital person. But at the same time, I would assume that they would be pretty good, and they are, because the characters that are from the show, that are in the game, actually have their actors from the show voice acting them, which is very cool.
I got the Arctic. Let's go. Grab the car, goddammit!
Yeah, everybody knows that guy's voice actor. I've heard him in a lot of stuff. He does RPGs, he does anime, I mean, he does everything.
Let's move.
Is that... no. Anyway. Let us go.
I'm in, goddammit!
So, there are also, there's a weapon modification system. As you can see, this shotgun has a scope on it, which actually tightens the spread a little bit. Don't take that out of context. And... oh god, floating money! Everything is loot-based. Your equipment, your grenades, your guns, your shield, everything. Which adds... it adds a significant amount to the game. Because, to be honest, loot systems that are this ARPG color-based loot really enthrall me for some reason. And there are lots of different types of weapons, which I'll show you later. So, in a game about shooting, obviously you want it to be satisfying. If it's about shooting people, then shooting people should be fun. And it is. The mechanics work like you'd expect a third-person shooter to work, even though it's an MMO. I feel that mechanically it does not suffer from being an MMO. And that's a rarity. But I feel like now that people are developing MMOs more often, they're getting used to what the tech can do now, because the WoW style of very limited hotkey-based combat isn't necessary anymore. It was that kind of dull combat because it was a necessary sacrifice to make the mechanics work. But nowadays we don't need to do that, so they're kind of figuring out slowly that you can do much more with MMOs now and make them way more interesting. Ah, he says as he dies horribly. Cloak! No, no, cloak! Okay. Ah! Alright, so let's talk about the questing. As you can see, this is a bit of a story-based quest. There are cutscenes, there's voice acting, there's things you would expect, again, from a single-player, third-person experience, not an MMO. And that's cool. You get hit in the head. I very much like that they're putting effort to make it not an MMO-feeling game in terms of the way the story is told, but still allow you to team up with hundreds of people and blow things to pieces.
Get them off my back! I'm taking the core!
No you're not. Okay, you might be. Just like Borderlands, there are also weapons with elemental effects that proc on hit, obviously with proc chances and things like that. Like, for instance, even my shield is actually attuned to deal with one of those types of damage. They're called nano effects in this game, I believe. Oh god! Yeah, I just died there. I'm gonna have to restart from a checkpoint. Those grenades are just horrible. Alright. So I lose a little bit of money, and I have to restart from a checkpoint. But that is okay. What I'm going to do is replace my rocket launcher with my lovely, lovely sniper rifle. Because this thing is a beastly weapon. And yeah, as you can see, you have multiple loadouts. You can unlock more slots as you level. And you can equip different things and different loadouts for different situations, so instead of having to go back to your inventory to switch things out every time, you can just press a button to swap loadouts, which is interesting. Again, it lends to the fact that this is clearly meant to be more action-based, fast-paced, like a third-person shooter, not your standard WoW style of MMO. Alright. So, I'm going to crouch back here and snipe some fools in the head. He's got a lot of health. Alright, my sheriff friend is bleeding from the spleen, so I should probably get back. Rolling helps to get those effects off of you, so that's why I'm rolling around like a fool all the time. Crawl over here, it's gonna be alright. Oh. Yeah. So as you can see, the shooting is actually quite satisfying. That's a definite change from a lot of MMO types of experiences, where the combat isn't necessarily the best part of the game. We'll just put it that way.
I'm pinned, goddammit!
Oh god. Okay, yes, fire and explosions and pain. It's a bad day. Alright, we're gonna cloak and crouch over here and get set on fire again, because that's just great. Headshot, or we could miss when we're like 2 feet away, because I'm the best shot in the world. Ah! Okay, this is actually quite a difficult mission, because I'm not used to fighting these raiders. Now there are, again, similar to Borderlands, yes, I'll keep parroting that. There are factions. Lots of factions. We've got raiders, we've got, dark matter, I think they're called. We've got the mutants and all sorts of things, and each faction has different subsets of mobs. So you'll see raiders that are like incendiary based or heavy weapons based, or, you know, a million different things. Again, like a traditional third-person shooter, or sometimes a first-person shooter, and it adds to the experience because enemy variety is important when you're killing things all the time. It gets boring quickly if you're killing the same things over and over. But in this case, different parts of the map are controlled by different factions. So you'll be seeing... Oh god. You'll be seeing lots of different things, similar to the way the Beastmen work in Final Fantasy XI. Okay, so that's over and it was horribly painful. Let's get John back up.
Thanks.
You're
Let's
welcome.
move.
Alrighty. Pick up all the loot. Loot, 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 loot. Whoa. Okay. That was lovely. Alright, we've still got that Mega up there, which is some sort of Raider Heavy with a launcher of some kind that apparently doesn't want to get headshot, because headshots don't get me crits, which is kind of annoying. He does have a mask on, so I guess it protects against bullets. Have a grenade! Oh god. Jeez. This guy's a pain. This sniper rifle actually has a nano effect on it. If you've seen them turn green when I hit them, that is not because they are envious of my beautiful rifle. It is because it does radioactive damage, so I'm going to slowly give them cancer. Seems like the best way to do it. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but apparently I'm just a horrible human being. Will you quit with the explosions? Kill him! I guess killing him would be easier if I could hit him. That is more useful. I kind of want his grenade launcher thingy, or whatever the heck it is. It looks like a rocket launcher, but it shoots like cluster grenades. Okay, he's almost dead. Oh god. John, you just hang in there and try not to bleed all over the floor. I'll be with you in a moment. Oh, there he goes. Okay, that took way too long. There's loot on the ground everywhere. If you saw that earlier, the loot is actually color-coded on the ground, so those are white items and have white lines coming from them. Greens have green, and etc.
Don't move. Now drop the core.
I do what he says.
Don't do it. You will die. I promise.
Yep.
Goddamn raiders. Always do the opposite you tell them.
What the hell was that? Who's crazy enough to ambush a lawkeeper's ranch?
Raiders. But it's unlike them to be so bold. It's not safe here. I'm taking you to Arashandu's place.
Hold on, are you talking about Votanus Collective's Ara Shandu? We can't bring them into this. They'll take the core for themselves. No way. No goddamn way.
She's no longer with the VC. Besides, you don't have a choice. The core's coming with me. You want to accompany it? Then great.
Fine. But my Ark Hunter is meeting us there.
That's me.
I'm not going alone.
I trust them more than you anyway.
Yup. Yeah, that guy's a jerk. And you'll be seeing more of him. A new co-op map available. Cool. Alright. So I leveled. Now you may notice that I don't have a standard level. I'm actually level 157, which seems ridiculous for an MMO. Not the case. Levels work differently in this. When that gold bar on the very bottom of the screen fills up, you level. Now in normal MMOs, you're used to leveling 1 per thingy, and usually the max level is about 99. In this case, you level 10 ranks every time that goes up, and the max level is about 5,000. But right now, there's not enough content in the game to actually reach that level, because the show hasn't gotten that far yet. So, if I show you this really quickly, on the map, you will see that the world I'm in is actually pretty freaking huge. I've barely been to, like, half of it. There is fast travel, thank goodness, and, of course, you have a vehicle. Where are they? There should be one around here somewhere. These quest symbols that instead of having exclamation points in them have stars. I guess there isn't one right now, but if you see one of those are called episode missions. Now that is because those are linked in with the TV show, so on those missions you will be seeing the characters from the show and interacting with them, which is kinda cool because they look a lot like the people playing them, and of course they have them as voice actors. Now this, what you're seeing here, these red circles, that is not a giant pimple on the map, that is a very cool feature called arc falls. Arc falls are these randomized environmental dealies. If you've ever played Rift, they're a lot like rifts. They just open up on the map, and everyone around can join in. You can literally have hundreds of people that are doing these, and you get lots of rewards for participating in one. Now, I can fast travel to this, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, so I can join in on that rift. So you will earn script, you can earn mods, you mod your weapon with them, like that scope on my shotgun, and there are all kinds of mods, and there are 4 different mod slots, and it's complicated as heck, and it's awesome. Let's go ahead and get some ammo back. Alright, so is that rift still going on? Yes, it is about half a kilometer that way. So what I can do is mark it with the GPS, and it will give me a nice little purple dotted line on my map to get me there. So let us go and join in on the rift. Or the arcfall, I mean. Teehee. Yes, they're very similar to rifts, only sci-fi'd.
We've got an arc fall on its way. You never know what's going to come out of those things, so take precautions.
There are many kinds of arcfall, just like there were different elements of rifts, and there are also different sizes of arcfalls. There are very small ones that you can fit like a couple dozen people in, or there could be these huge ones that you can fit quite literally 300-400 players into. And they also have various different objectives and different rewards. So here we go! Whoa, that is the center of it. Apparently we've got to kill the Hellion. Okay, lightning just struck my vehicle. Oh, here we go. So as you can see, there are like a million other players here that are participating in this. And everyone participating gets rewards in the form of experience, loot, script and salvage, and all kinds of good stuff. This is a very good way to get salvage, which is otherwise a bit more of a rare resource. So it looks like the objective of this particular arcfall is to kill the mature Hellion. But these smaller bugs are detaching from it, so in order to do that, we have to kill them. Well, I say smaller. It's a relative term. These actually are kind of like world bosses from WoW and or Rift. They act in a very similar way, and it can be a lot of fun to take them down. So yeah, this is cool because it's basically forced teamwork, but it isn't annoyingly forced. It's just we all ended up here, so we're all working together. It makes you feel cool because all of these are real, actual players, so it makes you feel neat, like you're making a difference and you're actually participating in something, almost like a public raid group, essentially. It's exactly what it's like. You're basically in a public raid group. So, here we go. We are going to snipe the crap out of this thing. We're just going to no-scope it because that's how we roll. And, continue this arcfall. Oh yeah, explosions and just nonsense everywhere. So, as you can see, these can get very hectic because if you look on the map there, every one of those purple dots is a player. So there's, I don't know how many, 30, 40 players here? Maybe I'd say. A few dozen at least. And we're all working towards the same goal, which is not dying and killing the hellbugs in time. As you can see, there is a time limit, and you'll obviously get the best rewards if you're able to succeed in the time limit and do whatever the Arcfall explicitly tells you to do. Some of the smaller ones involve these shards that fall from the sky right here, and you actually have to destroy them and things like that. And some of the others can get much bigger. This is not the biggest kind. There are much larger versions. This is sort of a medium-sized one, I would say. So if you're impressed by the size of this one, well, they get bigger. That's what she said. So, we're going to continue to not die, hopefully. And again, there is just sort of an implied teamwork here. You're reviving people, you're helping each other out without actually being in a party or a raid, even though that's essentially what this is. And you can even see this guy is boosting our shields. That's what that blue beam is. Alright. Oh god. I came in this one a bit late, so I'm sure my score is going to be lower than most people's, but I'm still going to get rewards as long as we're able to do this. So I'm going to pump some shotgun fire into this thing in hopes that we can take it down in time. So, if you're seeing this, it's extremely similar to something like a world boss. It's a very large, intimidating beast that just appears in the world for everyone to fight. No one needs to accept a quest of any kind. You don't need to be in a party of any kind. You can just go and do it. We even have people playing support here and healing us all, which is very cool. Alright, this thing is about to go down, so I think we're gonna complete this one. It better with like 9 million players. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this thing's going down. Boom! Yup. Head crabs! Oh god! That's what they look like. And the big ugly thing dies. Yay! Oh. And that is an Arcfall. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I got a new sniper rifle. Oh, and this is the screen. So for that, I got 3... Ooh, I got an SMG that drains health. 3 key codes, a bunch of experience, 400 script, and I don't know what that is. Is that a lockbox? But, yeah, I did a ton of damage, and as you can see, it shows leaderboards. So it shows you what everybody was doing. I am probably not on the leaderboard because I joined in that one pretty late. It only shows the top 20 players. So, yes, Miss Featherbottom obviously is very good at her job. There we go. We did it. Tons of experience. So, let's see here. What else to talk about? Let's talk about the way the show works. Essentially, Season 1 was, or Episode 1 was setting things up that these two forms of media are linked together. This game and... yes, you're magical. This game and the show are linked. Now, what happens in this game is going to affect what happens in further seasons of the show, because obviously Season 1 is already filmed, so they can't make any changes to that. However, all of the questing and stuff that happens in this game will be linked to what happens in the next seasons of the show, and so on. As new episodes become available on television, new quests become available in the game. So that's cool. But if people are worried about the show being the only thing that keeps the game alive, that's not true, because there are also tons of other quests to do. It's just those episodic quests that actually affect the TV show. So even without them, the game still has content. Like, that's not the majority of the content in the game. It's clear that they did that for a reason, because I think that's a bit of future-proofing, saying, hey, we know that shows don't last forever. If it doesn't work, the game isn't going to instantly die. And I think that's a very good thing for them to do. There are also very open world game type of side missions, like races, checkpoint races, time trials, things like that. Again, things that you would see in your classic single player open world game. Okay. And that improves the feel. That generally improves the feel of how this game works. So, I got a point to spend. This is the level up system. You have this ego grid. Every one of these big squares is a power. I chose Cloak, because being invisible is fun. There's also a decoy, a power-up of your weapons, I think it's called Overload, and a sort of rush maneuver. And each of these, well, they're all different passives and things that affect nonsense. So, right now, I think I'd like to do that. It'll max that out and give me plus 6 seconds to the duration of my cloak, which I want. Now, as you can see, just buying these doesn't do anything for you. You actually have to equip them. So I have 3 slots right now to equip things with. Now, I did get an outfit. So, I like no headgear, but an outfit, you can change your clothes, because that's cool. And I really like that one that I got there. That looks pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that. There we go. And I got a new sniper rifle, so let's see. I also got this, which seems kind of cool. But here we go, the VB1 sniper rifle. Does a lot more damage. Huh. Let's try it. What the heck. And it has a slot for a stock on it, if I want to upgrade it. And also, I just want to try out this weapon that I got here. I got a grenade launcher, but I also got this. I believe it's like a laser SMG, and anything that lets me shoot lasers is a plus. So, let's check out this rifle. That's a different kind of scope. Very cool. I'll keep it. Why not? How's the reload speed? Not bad. And, oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I've got to keep that. That thing looks really cool. Alright, I can't help it. Gotta keep the laser things. Anything that lets me shoot colorful energy is generally, makes a good game. I think I got a new grenade as well. There are many types of grenades. There are like various, there are elemental grenades and everything. Not really interested in that. So there's also this. Might as well show this system. This is the salvage matrix, which sounds very sci-fi, but it isn't. And it basically lets you do different things with your equipment. So let's say I put this cannon in here. I can break it down, and it will give me salvage. I can also add a random slot to it, so I can mod it. I can add mods through this to things that have slots, do everything like that. So this is kind of what takes place with the crafting system. There is no straight crafting. This is basically this game's form of crafting. Will you quit that? So I'd like to sell some stuff, but I'll do that off camera because that does not make for exciting watching. So let's see here. What else is there to talk about? I showed you an arc fall. There's another one going on right over there. We've talked about side quests. We've talked about lockboxes. The mod system is interesting. I have only one mod right now that is a stock attachable to shotguns. Unfortunately, I don't have a shotgun with a stock slot, but I could add one to a shotgun that I do have. Obviously, there's some crazy shit going on over here, so I think we should go check it out. These events just happen all over the map, and they could be small arc falls, they could be dynamic quests that pop up with people needing help, they could be massive, horrible invasions.
I have high hopes for this, but let's be careful.
Alright, this is a much smaller arc fall that is essentially a mutant survival, wave after wave kind of thing. So again, I joined in this one kind of late because I'm a lame person, but it will allow us to show you another kind. So obviously, these things are going to be dropping mutants into our ranks, and we're going to have to not die, generally speaking. I think we can handle that. This is wave 2 of 3, so this is very much a wave-based defense, kind of survival sort of dealy, which is neat, because, I mean, they're varying up the content. And that's what you need in a good MMO nowadays. People aren't necessarily willing to just do the same thing over and over, because let's face it, it gets boring. I mean, people had enough of that through 8 years of World of Warcraft. They need to change up the questing, and I believe they have successfully done so, and they've changed up the combat because this is an actual third-person shooter. They've changed up the level-up system significantly, because the ecosystem is completely different. There are also these things called pursuits you can get, which are kind of like achievements, only they actually have a use, and that they give you more ranks, more levels. And it's extremely nice to have those. So there are various pursuits that involve you doing all kinds of things, getting certain amounts of kills with certain weapons, traveling certain distances with certain vehicles, etc. exploration is rewarded because you can find cool side missions, different bases, and
That was unbelievable.
it will also reward you with more levels. Alright, not bad. I didn't get rewarded super well for that because I wasn't in it for very long, but there I am. I'm number 6. Not bad. I'm okay with that. Oh, there's some green loot there. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? Frag blast? That sounds like a fun grenade to have. Let's check that out. Frag blast. Sends out shrapnel to damage anyone nearby. Yeah, I'll take it. So it's more damage and a bigger radius than the grenade that I had. So, oh yes. Yes, I will take that. And there you go. So we just went along a path, not following the quest line, not following any particular person, and we ended up just exploring the world and having a good time. And that's cool, because I feel like that's what this game is generally about. Similar to Guild Wars 2, it's about exploring the world and finding what you find. But there is a more directed experience in the form of those story quests and main quest lines that are similar to the story that you choose for yourself in Guild Wars. They work in a similar fashion. So I guess that's it, everyone. There you go. That is how this game works. As for my opinion on it, I actually think it's fairly good. I was pleasantly surprised because, to be completely honest, I didn't have high hopes for it. I thought it would be less than fun, we'll say. But it ended up actually being unique and actually being a satisfying MMO that isn't like others. I just shot a friend in the back because I am a great individual. And it improves on the notion that you can't have an MMO that isn't an RPG exclusively. They're clearly helping to prove that wrong, along with PlanetSide and a few others. So I suppose that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other questions about this game, feel free to ask, and I will gladly try to answer them to the best of my ability. If you want to see a particular quest line or an episode mission, just tell me and I'll make a video. And if you want to see a specific type of arcfall, or I happen to find a fun type of arcfall, I will film it and put it up. So there you go. I think you get the gist of it.
We got a lot more mutants on their way.
And yet again, we're just getting another random event that just happens in the world. And this just happens all the time. Just like Guild Wars, you're taken on a journey through the game world by the world itself and not by a quest giver. And that's a refreshing experience, and I would recommend it. If anyone's looking for something a bit different, try it out. It's not grindy, it's not pay to win, and it's not bad. So I will put the link to the Steam page in the description of this video, and just so you know, it is a full-priced game, but there's no subscription fee, and the microtransactions come in the form of buying that real-life currency to use. It's not game-breaking, in my opinion, and there's not a lot of horrible stuff you can buy with it. There mostly is boosts and things like that, so it's kind of the standard way of doing things, which I very much approve of. And yeah, I think they've made a pretty interesting game here. They continue to patch it, and just recently a huge patch was released. The second one in a line of large patches to fix bugs, to make the game more stable for everyone, and to add more functionality that people were asking for. As far as my caveats for the game, the console-like interface is a bit of a problem if you're playing with a mouse and keyboard, but it's not that bad. And honestly, if you want to, you can play with a controller. I mean, it supports it just fine. I prefer mouse and keyboard, but that's personal preference, and I'm not gonna hate you for what you want. Oh my god, they're magical. Okay. So folks, this has been Defiance. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.